Hi everyone, Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett here. Today we're going to be talking about emergency operations and preparedness with San Juan County Emergency Manager Mike Mestas. Hi everyone, Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett here. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of the Mayor's Table. With me today is the San Juan County Emergency Manager Mike Mestas. He is here today to talk about emergency operation and preparedness on a county-wide basis, which also includes your cities within that plan for preparedness and how things are going. Mike, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome to our Emergency Operations Center.
Well, it's a great background, I think, for people to kind of see where the emergency group gathers, and I want to kind of fill in maybe some backfill for people to understand exactly what the Office of Emergency Management does here in San Juan County, and talk about everybody's community role in that. It's important for people to know that the stakeholders here are in communication on a regular basis, and Mike, you and your staff obviously coordinate that effort. So, Mike, we'll just kind of start it off here. Tell us about the Office of Emergency Management and how it flows from FEMA to the state here locally.
Okay, let me give you a little history and a little background on the office first. The office was developed over 20 years ago with my predecessor, Don Cooper, who was hired by the county to create a radio system for the 911 center and obviously for the response agencies. After he completed that process, they asked him if he wanted to take over the Emergency Management Office, which was yet to be formed. He formed the office, and then 2001, 9/11 happened. 9/11 began the whole process with the emergency management system because FEMA dictated that, hey, your communities needed to be prepared. So they started rolling out funding for response vehicles, such as our bomb team, our SWAT teams, our hazmat teams. But in order to receive that funding, a lot of things had to happen. You had to have, number one, an emergency operation plan. You had to have a NIMS certification, which is Incident Command for Response Agencies. So getting back to our emergency operations plan, it's a plan that encompasses all emergencies that would happen within San Juan County. It's a plan that encompasses not only the county, but it encompasses the city of Farmington, Bloomfield, Aztec, and now the town of Kirtland. And why is that? Because disasters are affecting the whole community, so therefore your emergency operation plan has to be totally encompassing. So, absolutely. So that's why.
Well, people have the question about kind of the preparedness and the efforts going forward in the midst of this current emergency that they're dealing with coronavirus and the COVID-19 disease. And within your organization, the Office of Emergency Management, you have many stakeholders involved, correct?
Yes, we do. Just like as you do, the mayor, you have many citizens, stakeholders, and different varieties of things that you do. We have different stakeholders in the many things that we do out of our office. For instance, we carry the local emergency planning committee, which is the LEPC. It was based on an industry concept because you had to have your community ready in case there's a hazardous material spill. But my predecessor took it a step further. We created a public health committee. We created a safe school committee. We created a JIC, which our wonderful JIC today is helping with COVID-19, get that information out. But getting back to one of your questions, our office reports to the state. Of course, my job as emergency manager is I report to the mayor, I report to the county manager, and the city managers and mayors to the Quad City. But then I report, and I'm your key to the State Emergency Operations Center, the state EOC, which they call Homeland Security. And so State Homeland Security reports to FEMA. So that's the succession, and that's how we report. And then coming back down, that's how the funding stream, and that's the chain of command.
Sure. So since we've had this emergency breakout, we've had weekly meetings with the stakeholders, which beyond the cities and the county include the hospital, Presbyterian Medical Services, the school districts, first responders, from each of the entities, and many other important components that are involved in ensuring the safety of the individuals here. Now, I think it'd be good as a background to kind of talk about maybe some past examples of where the Office of Emergency Management came together and was very supportive of the activities that were taking place. And I'll use two examples. The Gold King mine spill, of course, your office was key in getting out information and organizing and communicating things, and also helping work on the funding that came down from the federal government to state to here, but also in the Aztec High School shooting. Kind of talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Our office has always been that conduit, so to speak. We're that coordinating agency that gathers people together for meetings. And the big thing that we gather people together is for our annual drill. We have an annual full-scale drill. It's not required by FEMA, but to do it every 3 years. But in San Juan County, we do a full-scale drill annually. And that's from hospitals to the SWAT team, the bomb team. We incorporate industry. We have a sponsor with that every year. And we do that so that we ensure that our community is prepared. My predecessor has done it for the last 15 years, and I carried that on since I've taken over in 2008. I've carried on that concept. So it came to fruition, and it showed that we're doing good things on December 7th when we had the Aztec school shooting. Of course, we lost 2 lives, but without the training, the Safe School program, the stuff that we had been doing in the background for many, many years, we would have lost more lives. The training that we did with the schools, Mr. Carpenter taking the training serious and allowing us to get together. It's tabletops, full-scale drills, meetings, ensuring that the training has been completed. So that day, Aztec Police, San Juan County Sheriff's, Emergency Management, Fire, everybody is working together in one cohesive group, and they knew each other. So the thing that they preach in emergency management is know your stakeholders before the emergency, and in that case, we're a model to the state of New Mexico because we do that annually.
Well, I certainly talk highly of our emergency management team and the amount of preparedness that goes into any type of emergency. I mean, we're talking things. Again, it could be a high school shooting. It could be something occurring at the hospital. It could be civil unrest, just in general, things happening in our schools. So it's important that we practice the things that we know we're going to have to do so that if and when those things occur, we're ready for them.
That's correct.
Let's kind of move into the realm of coronavirus and the current situation that's impacting us locally, state, and across the world. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that have been done from your office and how things are moving forward at this point?
Sure. So obviously this is our emergency operation plan, and it speaks in generalities of what you need to do in certain events. Naturally, it's not going to have COVID-19 in it, but it does speak about pandemics. It speaks about getting stakeholders together, meetings, points of distribution if you need to do vaccinations, things like that. So that was one of the reasons we have our public health committee. So December 28th, when we've heard the news about Wuhan, China having this outbreak, we immediately began in January and February speaking about this with our public health committee. So after it started to spread in the United States, we began to take it more serious and meeting with our stakeholders. We've met with the mayor, we've met obviously with you, city manager, our hospital stakeholders, and we began planning over 2 or 3 weeks ago before this even hit the state of New Mexico and obviously before it hit San Juan County. So that planning and preparation has us ahead of the state of New Mexico by 2 or 3 weeks. We're already doing things that they're beginning just to barely do down in Albuquerque. So obviously we had that first case, but it didn't stop the progression of what's going on in San Juan County. Our community is strong. People have faith in what we're doing. They have faith in our community leaders, and we're going to continue moving forward.
So within your office, within some of the challenges that we're facing here locally, and maybe we talk about the hospital for a second, we know there's a nationwide need for PPEs. Within your office, you're working to try and find those providers and get those supply lines opened up to help us facilitate things like that. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the hospital sends me a text, sends me an email, Mike, we're out of N95 masks, or we're getting close. We're getting down to that 2-week critical stage where if we don't do something now, we're gonna be in trouble. So that's my job, to put in these 213 requests, tell FEMA that we need these supplies. Not only is the hospital, but the nursing homes, home health, the response agencies, we got to protect them. So my job is to ensure that those supply lines are open and that we're requesting. But obviously, it's a nationwide epidemic, so we're Farmington, New Mexico, and the city of New York who's going to get those supplies first.
Sure, well, it's important for people to know that.
But getting to our community, it's like I have a supply chain from FEMA here in San Juan County, in the city of Farmington, Bloomfield, and Aztec. I'm getting calls, Mike, we want to donate things. Dr. Pendergrass at San Juan College, obviously the college is shut down right now. She donated all our personal protective equipment from the nursing program, the dental program, the EMS, the EMT program. So I was able to outfit the hospital, the nursing homes, the police department in Shiprock, IHS Shiprock. So not only the inner cities, but to the areas of Shiprock and down to DZ, we're able to supply those people with personal protective equipment, because we don't want to further that community spread.
Sure.
The Home Builders Association industry with the Four Corners Damage Prevention Group has contacted our office. We've created a volunteer donation section where we're receiving those supplies daily. Just today, before the mayor's table, we've had about 8 supply distributions of people picking up gloves and masks and stuff that we have. So great community. A lady, a seamstress, called the other day. She wants to make mask covers for the N95 masks so that she can have those masks covered that the responders are wearing. They can take the covers off, take them home and wash them, and it'll make the N95s last a little longer.
That's good information, and I've had a number of those phone calls as well, but I think it'd be good for our viewers to know if you have the ability to provide these types of supplies, or you know somewhere that you can get them, what would be the best place for them to reach out to you to provide that information?
Yes, contact our office at 505-334-7700. We have a hotline. Leave a message for our volunteer donation coordinator, Michelle. She'll take your number, she'll get back to you, and we'll arrange drop-off. And then we'll also arrange pickup with our response agencies so they can get their equipment. And we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. We have a great community. We repeat that all the time, and we know there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of connections out there, right? I mean, you may have one person who may know 18 other people and who have access to some of these things, whatever they may be, to help assist in this effort. As we turn further into what the Office of Emergency Management does, one of the things I found great is the collaboration, but also the best practices that are coming from this. When you have all of the local entities together and they're getting to listen to Dr. Greenberg, for example, from San Juan Regional Medical Center, talk about what is currently on the landscape with coronavirus and COVID-19 and the messaging that needs to go out to the community, it's important that we have a singular message as a collective, right?
That is correct.
And I felt like that's been the case. And now, of course, we're in this realm where we really need people to stay home except for essential reasons. And the reason for those things is that we need to limit human-to-human contact to ensure that we are doing everything possible not to continue the spread of the virus. Furthering that, I think it's important for us to note today that when you are in a public place, 6 feet,
and that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing, is to make sure we kind of show that there's 6 feet between Mike and I to kind of continue that message. Washing your hands for 20 seconds, not touching your face. These are all things that we are capable of doing and will help us minimize the spread and minimize the impact to our healthcare system, which is the greater goal. And I've had questions, people have asked, well, what is your emergency plan? Listen, the goal is what the plan is working towards. In my mind, the goal right now is to flatten the curve to ensure that we don't overwhelm our healthcare system with individuals who are sick or in need of care to deal with the disease. So that everything that we're doing at this point to work up to that, and I think all the actions that are taking place are built to achieve that goal. That's really the plan, is how do we achieve that goal? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's correct, and something that you touched on earlier. This COVID-19 in San Juan County really started out in 2 phases. Phase 1, we were taking direction from the hospital. It hadn't been here. We wanted to plan We wanted to make sure they were prepared for it. But now it turned into phase 2 as soon as we had a positive hit in San Juan County. As soon as we opened the Emergency Operations Center after we got that positive hit, now the San Juan County JIC, the Joint Information Center, has taken over that messaging. Your very own Georgette Allen, who is part of the JIC, and our Devin Neely are leading that effort. So getting back to that one voice, so now we transition from the hospital's social media account, we transition into the Office of Emergency Management, where you can get that one voice that's being shared on all platforms.
Getting that message out, Mike, and I know we're seeing things change, and maybe what some of that messaging includes, really on a daily basis, and maybe even within a day, we'll see the messaging kind of escalate or get manipulated in some way that we need to get out. But we need to have people coming to, in our community, coming to that one source of information. Right. And I'm going to put a call to action out here to my community. We need people on Facebook. I'll just use Facebook. Social media is broad, but Facebook particularly, when you are needing immediate information on what's happening in your community, that is where the county, the cities, fire, police, everybody is funneling that information to.
Correct.
1, it's free. It's free to put the content out there. 2, it's free to the people who are needing that content. The Office of Emergency Management has a Facebook page. It's very concise, and it shares all the information coming from San Juan Regional or the City of Farmington, and the most up-to-date information from the Governor's office as well.
Department of Health, the state.
Right, Department of Health, state, federal government. I mean, anything and everything that can be put out there, that messaging is being put out there through the Office of Emergency Management. That is the singular voice. Obviously, when you look at websites, the City of Farmington and our Public Information Officer, Georgette Allen, does a really good job of making sure all that information that she can put in there is there, as well as, and I found this out, excuse me, recently, that all the social media feeds are going into that website as well. So again, another great place for it. But a call to action in the community: sign up for Facebook. It's simple. If you don't know how, you know somebody who does know how, reach out to them and say, look, I need to start getting this information more fluidly. Can you help me get onto social media so I can get this figured out? Yeah. The world and where people are getting communication is very varied on who that individual is. And simply, for me, the newspaper's not going to have as up-to-date information as Facebook. The news channels aren't going to have your local community
Correct.
Up-to-date information on the news channels. There's simply no better place to go. And so again, I ask you, if you haven't signed up for Facebook, make sure you do that. If you know somebody who's not, now's your chance to get out there and reach out to them, because that's how you can help them.
Correct, and it's not that the JIC is just using social media. They are reaching out to the newspapers, and they are reaching out to billboards.
That's a great point.
And they are reaching out to websites, and so they're trying all means short of standing on the street corner holding up signs. They're just too busy, and there's not enough of them. But the JIC reaches more than just local government. We have members of industry, we have members of the schools, we have members of the health community. So all those members are they have a public information officer in that JIC, so we ask them to take it back to their agencies as well. So we try to hit everyone within those organizations. Absolutely. With our JIC. So.
Well, and to your point earlier about the fact that when these news sites are having to decide what they should put on as content, and you've got Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, Santa Fe, and then you have Farmington. So if we want to be able locally to disseminate information out there and be as transparent as we possibly can, I highly recommend the social media way through Facebook. Other areas that people are getting information right now, obviously the City of Farmington website. The United Way, United Way has a great website for resources that are available to folks out there, whether you're dealing with issues with housing, whether you're dealing with issues with health care, whatever the case may be. 211. So we're getting this message out right now. Dial 211 on your phone, and it will take you directly to the San Juan United Way hotline. There they can try and get you in touch with the different service organizations that are dealing with these social issues that are happening right now in our county. It's a very real moment for folks who are struggling or may have been struggling even prior to this. Now we're going to see some some really hairy-carry stuff going on. We need folks to stay calm. We need them to reach out to those resources and ask for help. They're there for you. And certainly, I appreciate all the volunteers who are backing up those organizations, whether it's PATH, whether it's Child Haven, whether it's Echo Food Bank. I mean, these are groups that need our support, and you're going to continue to see information go out about how you can help those organizations stay afloat during this very trying time. Scott Micklin, our own Mr. Farmington, as I call him, KSJE is also doing a COVID-19 9 a.m. slot Monday through Thursday for people to get information from. Really appreciate Scott doing that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah, I was on his show yesterday.
Yeah.
He is out there for us to get that information out. He's always been that way for emergency management.
He does a great job of representing our community and everybody in it. State's emergency number, this is important. New Mexico has set up a 833-551-0518 phone number. Again, the number is 833-551-0518. And in that, you can also press a number to go to if you're having trouble with housing, with childcare, with food. They've got that set up in a resource for people out there. So again, the message I want to make sure is stay up to date with things that are going on. There is some very comprehensive places to go for information. It's always been a battle, at least during my time as an elected official, to be able to reach everybody. So if you know people out there who are not getting information, please take it on yourself to ensure that you're updating them as frequently as you can. Obviously, the messaging we've had out in regards to our seniors. We have a senior hotline. We need to make sure that that's available for you. But take the time to call them, take the time to visit your neighbors. Be sure that they understand if they need help, where they can go for help. So really important information, Mike. People have asked about, does Farmington have its own emergency preparedness plan and Office of Emergency Management? We do. Our representative in that, we have Fire Chief David Burke, and we also have Eddie Smiley, our General Services Director.
Correct.
They are critical in this, and the city is having meetings, what is planned to be 3 times a week, but is really happening daily because things are changing all the time. But we're staying on top of it, and we're working hand in hand with your office, and we really appreciate your leadership in that. And we're going to continue to see, as this thing unfolds, there's going to continue to be needs out there, and know that your leaders in this community are coming together on everybody's behalf and trying to put out the most clear messaging and information that we possibly can as quickly as we can. And we're gonna make it through this. I mean, that's the key thing to me.
Life's going to continue.
Life is going to continue.
And we have a great community, and we're just going to be that much stronger.
Absolutely. So, Mike, anything else you want to add?
No, other than 911 isn't a hotline to ask questions. I want to get that out for the 911 center. The state's provided lots of numbers for information, and that's who 911 would refer you to in the first place. So just go directly to the hotlines.
No, maybe that's a great segue actually before we end this. It's important that you're also, if you're feeling sick, making sure that you're following the proper protocols for the symptoms that you're following, contacting your local healthcare provider first via the phone. We spoke recently with a doctor here in town. They've essentially closed their office off to walk-ins. It's going to be by phone calls, and then they have set up an outside component where they're seeing people who might be having respiratory issues. So they're seeing patients outside of the office to ensure that they're minimizing potential spread of the disease. So make sure you're following that proper protocol and not walking into the emergency room unless it's an emergency situation. I'm not a doctor. I'm simply wanting to voice what the protocols have been to ensure that we're not overwhelming our hospital with individuals who might not be having symptoms where they might feel that it is. There's a lot of good information out there on what the symptoms are for flu and for seasonal allergies, which everybody's going through right now, as well as for COVID-19. So be sure you're following those protocols and doing what you can to stay at home, so that our healthcare providers and our first responders and our grocery store workers and all the folks working in the different businesses that are here in our community that are still operating right now underneath the governor's order, so that they stay healthy, so that we can have those essential services available to us and we don't see a true drop-off in being able to take care of our neighbors and our own selves in the midst of this emergency. Well, Mike, thank you for joining us
Thank you,
on this
Mayor.
special edition on the Mayor's Table. We will have, obviously, more information coming to you daily. Again, make sure you are paying attention to the Office of Emergency Management's Facebook page, also the City of Farmington's website, and please take note of those different resources that we've obviously have voiced here and have been available in our community for a very long time. We appreciate you staying calm in this situation. We appreciate your neighborly attitude and your ability to help other people around you. The service mentality, I think, is the key right now.
Yes.
How can I help other people in this? There will be information coming out, and you'll see that posted in regards to, if you're interested in volunteering, what you can do. So in the meantime, stay safe, stay COVID clean. That's
Stay
how I
6
want to live.
feet.
Stay COVID clean. And then we don't have to worry about the spread of it. Do your part for the sake of your neighbors and your community members.